Good morning, good morning, good morning. Make sure that I am not on mute. We have had that before, you know. I'm here chatting up a storm only to realize that my voice wasn't getting out there. But hey, it's the best day of the week as always. It's Wednesday, baby. It's hump day. Always excited to be able to connect with you and just chew the fat, as it were, share some ideas. Um, Looking forward to spending this time with you this week as well. As always, feel free to chime in if you have a comment, if you have a question. I will endeavor to address those. So thank you for joining, as always. So, quick question I have for you. Quick question. So there are five frogs who are sitting on a log, right? And four of them decided that they're going to jump off into the river. How many frogs are left on the log? Is it one? I guess basic math would suggest that. Or is it five? I would argue that it's five. Five frogs are left on the log. You know why? Because the four didn't actually jump off the log. They made a decision that they were going to jump off the log, but they didn't actually take action. They actually didn't jump off the log. And I think that's a challenge that so many of us face in our lives as well, right? We make these decisions about these grand decisions, actually, about all these amazing things that we're going to do, and yet, we never actually jump off the log. We never actually take action, right? And so you may be feeling frustrated right now because you're not reaching your goals, right? I mean, come on, man. You have read the books. You have read all the self-help books. You have read the autobiographies of really successful, famous people. You have attended the seminars. You have watched the live streams on the podcast, and you have meditated, right? You have learned so much, and yet, success kind of eludes you still, right? Or eludes you, I should say, eludes you still, right? Why? Well, could it be that all you're doing is learning, you're not taking action? Could that be it, that you just have not taken action? Pablo Picasso, the world famous Spanish painter, he says that action is a foundational key to all success. And that's kind of what we're talking about here this morning, right? There are so many keys to success. Action is one of those keys, absolutely one of those keys, right? So, you spend time and you're studying all the greats in your particular field, right? You're an entrepreneur, you study great entrepreneurs, you're an artist, you study great artists, etc., etc. And you have acquired all of this knowledge, and you're still at a loss as to, why it's not happening for you. Yeah, you need to take some action, man. You need to do something. You need to do something. Don't get me wrong, you have to acquire some knowledge, right? And that the acquiring of the knowledge is one of the actions that you may need to take in order to achieve your goals. If you want to, I don't know, be a pilot, it kind of helps to acquire some knowledge before you actually leave the ground, right? You kind of need to know what you need to do when you get up there in the air. But we should not cause or allow this acquiring of the knowledge, or should not make that be the be all and end all of our endeavors, right? The theory, there comes a time when you kind of have to put that into practice, right? The knowledge, which is important, plus action is a thing that gives us the success that we want, right? Successful executives, successful entrepreneurs, they don't just lay in bed or sit in their boardroom expecting the deals to fall on their lap, right? They actually get out there and they go do something to create those opportunities for the deals to fall in their lap, quote unquote. But I warn you though that while you have to take action, right, it should be should I say proper action? It should be, the factors that our goals will remain goals, and we will not see any progress if we're not doing the right things, right? You kind of have to take action, but it can't just be, some people confuse activity with action, right? They're just doing stuff just for the sake of doing it. Our actions kind of take us from our dreams to our goals and create that reality, right? And we will forever be yearning for the success that we want in our lives, we want to experience in our lives, if we're not taking action, period, or if we're just kind of doing stuff, being busy. I talk about this all the time, and I have no idea why this thing stuck in my head. But when I was doing my military training in England, I jumped from a plane and I broke my ankle. Yeah, I used to be young and foolish. Who haven't been, right? And so while I'm laid up in this hospital bed, I'm watching TV because there was not much more to do. And there's two cartoon characters, I think two little blackbirds, and they're hopping and singing along. We're busy doing nothing, working the whole day through, trying to find lots of things not to do. It just kind of stayed with me all these years, and it reminds me of a lot of us who are busy doing nothing, right? And we're, quite frankly, we are finding lots of things. We're finding lots of things to do that has no bearing on the real goals and dreams that we have, on our aspirations. And so that's my challenge to you, to remember, as Pablo Picasso say, that action is a foundational key to all success. But it has to be right action, friends. It has to be proper action. Otherwise, we will be like those two little blackbirds, just trying to find lots of things not to do, busy doing nothing, working the whole day through. So I want to share 4 ideas with you and the not just importance of action, but how what you can do to make sure that you start taking actions, and the correct actions. Let me find my banners here, over here. Right. So the first thing you need to do is to eliminate the excuses. Eliminate the excuses. All of them, right? Every single one of them. The fact of the matter is that if you're looking for an excuse not to take action towards your goals, you quite frankly don't have to look too hard. They're easy to find, right? I'm not going to apply for this new position on the company because I just started here, or it's not the department that I am not so accustomed to, or I'm not going to go after this goal here because it's just not realistic, or I don't have the resources, I don't have the connection, I don't have the whatever it is. All of these are just excuses to justify you not taking action, right? It's almost like you're listening to that part of your psychic that is afraid to fail, right? A lot of people, they are afraid of failure, and they figure that if they do nothing, then they can't fail, which is true. If you do nothing, you can't fail. But guess what? If you do nothing, you can't succeed either. So please get rid of the excuses. Eliminate all, like every single one of the excuses. Get rid of them, right? They are the ones that are keeping you from taking the actions that you need to take, and hence preventing you from living the life that you so earnestly desire to live. Right? So eliminate all excuses, number 1. Number 2, do not, and I repeat, do not wait until everything is perfect to go after your goals. Oh, I didn't pull up my thing here. Yeah, don't wait for the perfect time. And this is something I talk about like practically every time I'm on stage, right? There's no such thing as a perfect moment. There's no such thing as a perfect time to achieve your goals, right? You might tell yourself that now might not be a good time. And I'm sure there are in every single goal that you're going to, perhaps most of them that you're going to pursue, there will be something about your current circumstances that suggests that it is not the right time. But the fact is that there's never going to be a right time. And I talk about our team back in 1987, when we got selected, striving to compete in the Olympic Games in 1988. You know what? That definitely wasn't the right time. This was a sport we knew absolutely nothing about, had no funding, no training, no knowledge, no nothing, no weather, no nothing, right? It wasn't quite the right time. What I know from my experience is that you have to start from where you are, and you start with what you have. And you just get started. And as you do that, though, what I've found is that you start to acquire some knowledge. You start to get smarter and wiser and more knowledgeable, um, and it comes together eventually, right? I'm not suggesting some kind of magic potion here. It's not just going to fall in place like this. It requires the action, the effort, the determination, the discipline, the drive, all of that, right? But if you choose to sit there waiting until you have all your ducks in a row, right? You want to start a business, and you need to find the absolute perfect location, the perfect partner, just the right amount of money to get started. Yeah, I promise you, you're going to be there waiting, right? What I know is life, providence, right? Do what you will. I think Van Gogh says, because, providence just kind of step in there and go, here, I see that you're trying. Let me give you a hand. So do not wait for the perfect time, my friends. Number three, kind of alluded. Ooh, here we are. What did I just do here? So let me fix this. Number three is to get started. Do something. Take the first step. When I was in school, they taught us Newton's law of motion, and an object at rest will remain at rest. An object in motion will remain in motion, right? So if you're sitting there waiting, like for the perfect moment, listening to all of your excuses, then you're going to be that object at rest, and you have to get yourself in gear. You have to get moving. Because as you do, you start to build some momentum, right? You start to figure a way, as I said earlier, to put the pieces in place to achieve your goals. Look, the goal itself may seem overwhelming, and in the grand scheme of things, the one action that you can take right now is almost insignificant, right? It's almost insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But given where you are along this journey, it's a huge step forward, right? So do not look at it and go, man, me picking up the phone and calling John doesn't even make sense because it's such an insignificant step. Do it, because that's the only thing you can do right now. And in you taking up the phone and calling John, John may be able to introduce you to someone, may say something that spark an idea. Something out of that phone call will now give you the next step to take, and the next step, and the next step. But you can never get to those subsequent steps unless you take the first step. So yes, take the first step, get started. That famous ad, it says, just do it. So get started. And finally, the thing that I think frightens a lot of people when it comes on to pursuing their dreams, going after goals, is that they're afraid of failure. Okay, fine. Fail. It's going to happen. It's an integral part of the success journey. Just fail forward. What do I mean by failing forward? Well, when failure comes, and it will, resist the urge to see yourself as a failure. The event, the results that you got didn't quite measure up, right? Okay, that was a failure. You fail forward by dissecting that failure experience and learning the lessons from it, and extracting the lessons, applying them, so that you know how to, continue, a little bit more intelligently. That's what it is, right? You are getting started. You don't have a clue. It's not the perfect time. There are all kinds of reasons. Some of them really legitimate. Yeah, real reasons why you probably shouldn't be going after this. You ignore all of that. You go, I want this thing, and then you fail, right? Because there's a learning curve and you just didn't get it right. You fail forward by figuring out what you did wrong and how you can correct it so you can move forward. You can continue that forward motion, right? And you try to do that as often as possible, right? So the faster you fail and the more often you fail, the more lessons you learn, the more intelligently you're able to continue, right? Because you just have so much more knowledge. As I said earlier, you get wiser, you get smarter, you get more experienced, right? So yes, friends, don't sit there being frustrated about not achieving your goals. Really sit back and figure out why is it that I'm not achieving my goals. And it could very well be that you're not taking action towards your goals. It could very well be that, yes, you're very busy doing all kinds of things except the specific things that are going to lead you to your goals. And that is, you fix that one thing and you'll be so surprised at the tremendous difference in the results that you get, right? And you're just gonna feel so much happier, so much more contented because you're making progress. Every one of us want to make progress. And when we feel like we're making progress, we are infinitely more contented. We're happier, right? It's not gonna happen with you sitting back, just studying and learning all this thing, acquiring all this knowledge, and then not putting it into practice. What's the point? Right? You have to transform that tremendous potential that you have, all that knowledge that you have. You have to apply action to it, because action plus knowledge equals success. And that's what we all want, right? To succeed in our own way, however we define it. So yeah, those are the thoughts, my friends, I wanted to share with you this week. Action is one of the keys to success. As I often say, if you do nothing, you get nothing. So come on, man, do something, anything. Take that one tiny step and watch how that builds momentum to other tiny steps until they're able to take giant leaps. Thank you so much for joining. Claudette, great to see you. Leon, Donnery, and the rest of the crew. Always great to connect. Let's connect next week. This time, same place. Bring a friend. Don't forget to stop by YouTube, youtube.com/keep on pushing always. Check out the amazing interviews and insights that we have over there. Until we connect next week, yeah, you know the deal. You know what you should do. Keep on pushing. Hey.